before the season starts, I decided to talk about some players and predictions that I have for them this upcoming year. And one player that has my eye and the eye of many other fans in the NBA is Zion Williamson. I truly believe that Zion is primed and ready for an MVP caliber season with the New Orleans Pelicans. I've had my eye on the Pelicans ever since they did the Anthony Davis trade. They ended up getting the first overall pick and the 9th pick to select Jackson Hayes after taking Zion first overall. And after the moves they've made over the last year or so, I have to say the Pelicans are in great position to be a contender in the Western Conference next season. And whenever your team is contending in the NBA and you can put up numbers, you're always going to be at the bare minimum an MVP candidate, or at least an All-NBA caliber player, which I believe Zion Williamson will be next year. But before we get started with this video, I would like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Kinetic Kings. Kinetic Kings was formed in 2020 as a mission to craft the most accessible, premium streetwear, and it became so much more. Their pieces are inspired by the most nostalgic factor of the 90s and their love for colors. If you go to their website right now, you can check out their latest sale of shorts. Trust me, you do not want to miss this one. Their link is down below in the description box, so if you want to upgrade your fashion sense, make sure you check out Kinetic Kings. Now, when it comes to the MVP in the NBA, we all know it comes down to 3 things. For starters, you have to have the numbers, which Zion will have automatically. But the other 2 things are the things I think a lot of people are more skeptical about as far as Zion winning the MVP, or at least even being in contention for one. Those things are winning and narrative. Now, as far as narrative goes, I think Zion will have that in the bag because let's be real, just a year ago, people thought he was leaving the New Orleans Pelicans. This is an organization that was going in the wrong direction with a generational talent in Anthony Davis, and just in the matter of 2 years, they turned things around by getting the first overall pick and trading AD for a package that fit pretty well around that first overall pick in Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and Lonzo Ball. Now, unfortunately, they did let Lonzo go in free agency, and they also let Josh Hart go, but instead they got Williamson, who I think is a solid big man for this team. And Lonzo, even though they lost him, that brings us to this year where they were able to somewhat replace his efforts as a playmaker, at least offensively, and even add more shot creation to the team in CJ McCollum. And on top of all of that, they have their young star Brandon Ingram, who is going to be the sidekick to Zion Williamson going forward, and I have to say he's a hell of a sidekick. The Pelicans started off the season 8-20. 8-20. That is insane. 12 games below 500. But then in the month of December, they flipped the switch. Ingram started balling out, and they were actually an above 500 team when Brandon Ingram played. He would finish off the season averaging 23 points, nearly 6 assists and 6 rebounds, shooting 46% from the field, a down year from 3, shooting 33% on 4 attempts and 83% at the free throw line, which would accumulate to a pretty average true shooting percentage of 55%. But I would say the most important thing of his game that developed this regular season was his playmaking and passing. Though he had a down year from 3, he still had gravity on the perimeter, which many players on that team did not have, especially before the CJ McCollum trade. Combine that with his ability to get to the rim and navigate through the screens that Valanciunas gave him to operate in the mid-range and to the free throw line, and you have one of the most impactful offensive players in the league, and it carried over into the playoffs, as against the 1-seeded Phoenix Suns, who had one of the better offenses and defenses in the NBA, finishing top 10 in those categories. He averaged 27 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds, shooting nearly 48% from the field, 41% from 3 on just short of 5 attempts a game, 83% at the free throw line, which accumulates to a true shooting percentage of 58%. Mind you, that series went 6 games. It took a Chris Paul 14 of 14 game to put them away in the closeout game 6. Not only were his efforts appreciated offensively, but you had players like CJ McCollum, who is a pretty good playmaker for them. He may have struggled, but I think that's mainly due to the fact that the Suns could key in on him as the second option, and realistically speaking, at this point in his career, he's better as the playmaker of the team and a third option. Combine that with the defensive efforts of Herb Jones, who was damn near an all-defensive team player in his rookie season this past year. Valanciunas is arguably the best rebounder in the NBA, along with role players that I think can contribute at a high level like Jackson Hayes and Larry Nance. Let's not forget the young guys like Trey Murphy, who I think has promise, and their young rookie in Dyson Daniels. I truly do believe that roster around Zion Williamson is set to be a contending team, or at the bare minimum a competitive team in the Western Conference that's growing every day. And then that brings me to Zion. I know the big issue with Zion is his health and durability, which I understand those issues completely. I've had my own question marks about Zion's health going forward, but I truly do believe he is healthy because after missing a whole year, including the playoffs where he wanted to play, I think if he has any type of competitive backbone in his body, which he surely does, then he's gonna come out with a bang in the regular season next year. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest players in the league, not just young players, but players in general. This is a guy in Zion that when he was last healthy playing in the whole season, he averaged 27 points a game, 7 rebounds and 4 assists on 65% true shooting. He is one of the most efficient players in the league, and he's giving you 25 plus points per game, nearly 30 points a game. He's a very good passer out of the post. He can put the ball on the floor. He's an amazing off-ball player, a good on-ball player, a lob threat, a slasher, can get pressure on the rim, can get to the free throw line. He averaged 9 attempts a game in 2021. The real knock on Zion offensively is his shooting, and as a shooter, I'm gonna be real, he doesn't even have to take those kind of jump shots, and if he does, that's just more power to him. Eventually, if he can grow into some 34-33% three-point shooter, or hell, even just a 30% shooter like Giannis is, it's only gonna get his confidence to grow, and he doesn't even have to become a great three-point shooter. He can become a decent mid-range shooter, or hell, he doesn't have to become a shooter at all, because that's what you have guys like Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum for, two of the better shooters in the NBA, especially from the mid-range and from behind the arc. And with this apparent new clause in his $193 million contract, it requires him to stay below 295 pounds. I'm expecting Zion to look even more slim than we've ever seen him before. He's gonna be still big enough to bully people down low in the paint, but I expect him to be cut and lean to move very fast on the court. So if I was a nigga like Chet, trust me, I would just get out the way every single time he's on a fast break. Now, I've spent a lot of time talking about the offensive side of the ball with Zion. I have to talk about the defensive side. Zion defensively wasn't that good at all in his sophomore year or even his rookie season, but let's give him a little bit of a pass there. That was only like 20 games, and honestly, it was his rookie season. But in his sophomore year, I can't lie, Zion was a complete negative on the defensive side of the ball. And it's crazy because he has all of the physical tools to at least be average. I think honestly, Zion could become one of the better help defenders or weak side shot blockers in this league. He doesn't have to be amazing defensively, but he can't be too much of a negative, because with Valanciunas at the 5, you're already giving up a little bit of defense in the paint with him, and with Zion being a negative as well on that side of the ball, your front court looks pretty cooked with Herb Jones having to backpack everything. And at a certain point in time, those steals from Alvarado can only take you so far. So I really do want to see Zion grow on the defensive side of the ball to at least being average this upcoming NBA season. And if that can happen, I truly do believe he can be an MVP candidate. The Pelicans are a young, fun, and exciting team, and based off of what we saw in the playoffs last year, I don't think Zion wants to leave a situation like that, especially with Brandon Ingram on that team. It was tough to lose Lonzo, I completely understand that, though I'm happy because I'm a Bulls fan, but when you're looking at what they still have on that roster and guys like CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Valanciunas, Brandon Ingram, Troy Murphy, Jackson Hayes, I truly do believe this is a great roster for Zion to come in, contribute, and they can compete at a very high level. And if that happens, along with Zion just being Zion, I truly do believe an MVP might be on its way to New Orleans. But before we wrap up this video, make sure you go and check out the latest episode of Hoop Concessions. We talked about our underrated players in the NBA. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and press that bell for post notifications to stay up to date with the latest content on Young Mustard. You guys stay safe and have a blessed day. I'm out. Peace.